と白ひげ海賊団も来る。湾内に侵入されました。一番隊隊長マルコ、14人の隊長たち。俺の愛する息子は無事なんだろうな。大気にひび。これが白ひげの能力。
In One Piece, some entrances aren't just about arriving, they are about making a statement. From Kaido's epic introduction to Garp's legendary galaxy impact that shook an entire island, these are the entrances which were pure aura.
Oh, こちらキザル。到着しましたんで、応答願います。
We start this list with Kizaru. After Luffy punched a celestial dragon, the entire island fell into chaos. To clean up the mess, the Marines dispatched Kizaru. He made his entrance in one of the most iconic ways in One Piece, standing on top of a cannonball. What followed was even more terrifying. He treated the worst generation like toys, effortlessly dismantling them one after another without even breaking a sweat.
もしもーし。おかしいね。今だ、この妖精。もしもー。今度こそ。おかしいね。銃なんか聞きか。逃げるぞ。ちょっと物を尋ねたいんだけど、聞いただけでしょうが。え？ちょっとやりすぎたね。
Next on our list, we have one of the most legendary introductions. For years, Kaido was known as the strongest creature in the world, a monster said to be unbeatable in a one-on-one fight. His very existence was enough to terrify both pirates and Marines alike, and every story about him only added to his overwhelming presence. And when he finally made his appearance, it was a moment that lived up to the legend and defined pure aura.
彼は今、自殺をしたのだ。一人で海軍及び四皇に挑み、
あれだ
40回の死刑宣告。串刺しにするも槍は折れ、首をつられるも鎖はちぎれ、ギロチンにかけられるもその歯は砕き、誰も彼を殺せなかった。彼自身もしかり。
死ねねえもんだな。頭痛え。また生きちまった。
生きとし生けるすべての者たちの中で、今日の生物と呼ばれる海賊。足でやるなら、カイドウだろう。百獣のカイドウ。
Now we have a moment that shows why Zoro and Sanji are called the wings of the future Pirate King. Their arrival on the battlefield wasn't just support, it was a declaration of strength. They usually clash and argue with each other, but when it comes to Luffy and the crew, they stand united. In that instant, their rivalry didn't matter. All that mattered was supporting their captain and proving that together they are unstoppable.
もう気が済んだ。降参。花形登場だよい。
ぐるぐる、この戦いを制したらよ。ああ、見えてくるな、ルフィが。海賊王になる姿。
When the Straw Hats had just defeated a pacifista, the danger was far from over. Sentomaru and Kizaru arrived, and already exhausted, the crew stood no chance against opponents of this level. Even Luffy realized the situation was hopeless and shouted for everyone to run. Zoro, already beaten and unable to move, lay on the ground, seemingly at death's door. And just as Kizaru was about to finish him, an epic entrance changed everything.
Logia だからね。レイディ、あんたの出る幕かい？
戒名を積むんじゃない。これから始まるのだよ。
Back in Water 7, when Frankie was still an enemy, he and his gang made the mistake of targeting the Straw Hats. After Usopp was beaten and their money stolen, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper refused to let it slide. What followed wasn't just payback, it was a message. This entrance wasn't about a simple fight. It was about showing the world that nobody could lay a hand on their crew without facing the full fury of the Straw Hats.
ふざけた家。
麦わらのルフィ。
ゴムゴムのキャノン。おめえら骨も残らねえと思え。
来るぞ、かかれ。
When Whitebeard's men first spotted Shanks' ship on the horizon, tension immediately spread across the deck. Whitebeard casually told them to let him enter, but everyone knew this was no ordinary visitor. It was the meeting of two Yonko, and even the Marines far away prepared themselves for the possibility of chaos. Marco warned the crew to stay alert, because when Shanks steps onto the stage, the atmosphere itself changes. This was an entrance overflowing with pure aura.
船長、赤髪を迎えます。
言ってろ言ってろ。
お前らどうした？
ああ、もう手遅れかい。
相変わらずすげえ吐きたな。
敵戦につき話し合いたいことがあるんだ。バカ野郎、覇気をむき出しにして現れる男の言い草か。俺の故郷の酒だ。飲んでくれ。エースを止めてくれ。黒ひげ、ティーチから手を引け。それだけの頼みだ。俺に指図するなんざ100年あい。ほら、白ひげだ。
After 2 years of training, the Straw Hats returned to Sabaody. Everyone was curious about their new powers and transformations, and the first to step back into action was Zoro. Some things, however, never changed. He still got lost and even ended up on the wrong ship before making it back. But once he appeared, his entrance left no doubt about how much he had grown. This wasn't just a return. It was a statement that Zoro had become more dangerous than ever.
見ろ、何か出てくる。
異世界への夢をよくば。
バカ言え。誰が切るんだよ。こんなでけえ船。
愛煙金。
誰か船の上に。
疫病神と船に乗り合わせたお前たちの運命を恨め。したか。どっちでもよかったが。船を間違えた。
And the last one who returned was the captain himself. But also here, some things never change. Luffy, in his usual way, believed the fake Straw Hats were his real crew. Back at Sabaody, the pacifista once forced the entire crew to fight with everything they had. This time, however, things were completely different. The captain of the Straw Hats had returned on a whole new level.
おせいやセカンド ジェットピストル
If you've watched until here, thank you for your support. Let me know your favorite moment in the comments. And if you want to support this channel, feel free to hype the video. When Blackbeard appeared at Amazon Lily, the situation seemed hopeless. Even Boa Hancock, one of the strongest women in the world, was cornered by his crew. But just as the balance was about to tip in Blackbeard's favor, Rayleigh stepped in once again. With nothing more than his presence, the Dark King stopped Blackbeard in his tracks.
海軍の包囲は予想したが、島の形が変わるほどとは。名号、レイリー。遅くなってすまない。ハンコック。おい、白ひげの見習い小僧、大人げないが、私はお前が嫌いでね。
On Egghead Island, chaos was breaking out everywhere. The monster trio already had their hands full, and Sanji, as always, was busy saving a woman. But then one of the 5 elders, Saint J. Garcia Saturn, decided to step onto the battlefield. Even before he arrived, the entire area froze under the crushing weight of his presence. After decades of staying in the shadows, the elders finally decided to get their hands dirty.
Pacifista!
To stand against such overwhelming power, the Straw Hats received unexpected help from the Giants. After such a long time, they couldn't believe that the legendary warriors of Elbaf, Dory, and Brogy had truly come to their aid. Their arrival shifted the entire battlefield, shaking the Marines and giving the Straw Hats the hope they desperately needed. This entrance wasn't just backup, it was a statement of power and legacy that carried pure aura.
野郎ども今行くぞ麦わら左右に戦士たちを率いて船を破壊しろ邪魔な船を片付けとけいってしろやるじゃまはい船長バババババババ海賊団上陸どんどんより野郎どもは俺らも進むぞザ・巨兵海賊団がそのままにその他往年の戦士たちがなぜ今この島に何を確認
On Fishman Island, thousands of enemies gathered, ready to crush everything in their path. But then Luffy stepped forward. With nothing more than his will, he unleashed his conqueror's haki, instantly knocking out countless foes and shocking friend and enemy alike. This wasn't just power. It was the aura of a king, and the moment the entire island realized that Luffy was destined for greatness.
Oi, Luffy! Luffy-sama! 4億の首俺がもらった俺だ
Back at Sabaody, the Marines thought they had the upper hand, surrounding the worst generation with overwhelming numbers. But then 3 captains stepped forward together, Luffy, Law, and Kid. Each of them carried their own ambition. and side by side they tore through the battlefield, leaving destruction in their wake. Their entrance turned the tide of the battle and marked a powerful statement from the new era of pirates.
おめえら引っ込んでていいぞ。
もう一度俺に命令してな。
3人とも軽く奥越えの賞金首です。リペル。
ゴムの風船。
シャンブルズ。
こいつら3人とも能力者だ。
なんだあの変な能力は。
In Punk Hazard, Smoker was lying defeated, completely at the mercy of Doflamingo. With no chance left to resist, his fate seemed sealed. But then the ground froze over and Kuzan appeared. With nothing more than his calm presence, he stopped Doflamingo in his tracks and saved Smoker's life. It was a reminder that even after leaving the Marines, Kuzan's aura alone was enough to change the entire situation. When the Straw Hats were defeated by a Luffy giant, the situation seemed hopeless. Oars and Moria had crushed their resistance, and there was no chance left for victory. But then a new figure appeared. Luffy on steroids who skipped leg day. A true nightmare. Empowered far beyond his usual limits, he stepped onto the battlefield with an overwhelming presence, stopping the fake Luffy with ease and crushing him without hesitation.
モンキー D ルフィだぜ。俺一人だぜ。君の手にピストラゴムゴムの
On the rooftop of Onigashima, two Yonko stood side by side, Kaido and Big Mom, the most fearsome figures in the New World. The weight of their presence alone was enough to crush anyone's spirit. But then Luffy walked straight past them without hesitation, without fear. In that single moment, he showed that he was ready to stand on the same stage as the emperors themselves, an entrance overflowing with pure aura.
このガキ俺の前で何になると言ったと思う。
こいつは生意気なのさ。俺の前でもずいぶん大口叩いたよね、麦わら。
お前が一体何になるのか、もう一度言ってみろ。
ゴムゴムのレッドロック。
お前が殴り倒されるなんて。
俺はモンキー D ルフィ超えて海賊王になる男だ。
When Yamato faced Kaido, it was a brave stand, but one that seemed impossible to win alone. As she prepared to unleash her final attack, Luffy appeared in another epic entrance, riding on Momonosuke. Together, they unleashed a devastating combo attack against Kaido, shaking the battlefield and proving the strength of their resolve. The stunning animation elevated this moment even further, making it one of the most unforgettable scenes in the Onigashima battle.
ジェットカルマリン。
Next, we have another beautifully animated entrance that changed the One Piece world. When Gear 5 finally made its appearance, it felt like everything we knew about Luffy had shifted. This episode broke the internet. I still remember waiting for it, and when it finally aired, it instantly became one of the most hyped transformations in all of anime. His transformation was unlike anything seen before. Playful, unpredictable, and overwhelming at the same time. When Whitebeard made his entrance at Marineford, it was already legendary, but he needed another one. This time, it was his entrance to the battlefield itself. After waiting for the right moment, the strongest man in the world finally stepped forward. Each movement shook the ground, and every soldier froze as Whitebeard made it clear that the real battle was about to begin. His presence alone inspired his allies, reminding them that with Whitebeard leading the charge, they still had hope.
邪魔だな。
As the war reached its peak, the chaos was unstoppable. Ace had just fallen before Luffy's eyes, and even then, Akainu was not finished. Out of nowhere, Kobe found the courage to shout for the fighting to stop, risking his life in front of everyone. And in that instant, a new presence arrived. The battlefield froze as the weight of his aura spread, and everyone knew that a true boss had stepped onto the stage.
No! よくやった、若い海兵。キャル数秒は良くか悪くか、海の運命を大きく変えた。
あれは、あの船、新世界の4個がいるんだよ。赤髪のサンスだ。
キザル。
ベンベックマン。
この戦争を終わらせに来た。
When Mihawk first appeared at the Bharati, the atmosphere shifted instantly. With nothing but a small boat, he carried more presence than an entire fleet. Even before this moment, he had sliced Don Krieg's massive ship to pieces. Yet the survivors soon realized their nightmare was only just beginning. This entrance set the tone for one of the greatest swordsmen in anime history.
俺たちを殺しに。鷹の目のミホーク。
誰だあいつ。
鷹の目の男だぞ。の頂点に立つ男だ。50隻を沈めた男なのか。あの剣であの大帆船をぶった切ったんですか。何の恨みがあって俺たちを狙うんだ。
暇つぶし。
ふざけんな。確かに狙ったのに。 そっと弾道を変えたんだ。
At Logetown, the place where the Pirate King was executed, Luffy's adventure nearly came to an end. Captured and facing certain death, there was no escape in sight. But then, out of nowhere, a mysterious figure appeared. Dragon, the most wanted man in the world. With nothing more than his presence, the atmosphere of the entire city shifted, and Luffy's fate was forever changed.
政府はてめえの首を欲しがってるぜ。
世界は我々の答えを待っている。
何が起こったんだ?
On Elbaf, Eustace Kid thought he was ready to challenge a Yonko. With his crew behind him and his pride on the line, he prepared to face Shanks. But when Shanks finally stepped forward, the atmosphere shifted instantly. His overwhelming aura alone made it clear that Kid had underestimated what it meant to stand against a Yonko. And this time, it wasn't Big Mom. It was Big Daddy.
出てこい。ああ、鏡。さすがだな。ケストだ。鏡。カムサリ。
When your daughter is in danger, a father will do anything On Egghead, as Bonnie faced certain death, Kuma suddenly appeared. With his massive frame and unshakable resolve, he stepped in to protect her, silencing the battlefield with nothing but his presence. It was an entrance that showed the unbreakable bond between father and child.
そのねクマだ。
Now, we have a legendary clash between Roger and Whitebeard. When these two titans of the seas finally faced each other, the world itself seemed to tremble. The sheer force of their presence shook the oceans and sent shockwaves across the island. Even Odin could only watch in awe at the overwhelming power on display. It was the ultimate display of aura.
噂通り強いな。待て、ギャワン、レディー。君たちに怪我させるわけにはいかん。
やりてえだけだろ。獣の匂い。
よう、侍。カムサリー。なんじゃ今のは。来たか。なあ。
触れてねえ。
Last on our list, we have Garp. Even in his old age, the hero of the Marines showed why his name still carries unmatched weight. With one devastating punch, he unleashed a force so powerful it seemed to tear the island apart. The sheer impact reminded everyone that Garp is not someone to mess with.